You ever wonder how a company turns a million messy clicks, sales records, and social media posts into one single smart decision? Well, today, we're going to map that exact journey, from a chaotic data lake all the way to a crystal clear insight. Let's dive in.
All right, so let's get right to it by asking the big question every single modern business is facing. We are just swimming in information. Logs, images, spreadsheets, you name it. How do we actually make sense of it all? How do we turn that noise into something that helps us make smart decisions?
To answer that, we're going to follow the data. We're going to trace its path from its raw original state, think of it like a wild, untamed river, all the way to a refined, valuable insight that can actually power a business. It's a journey of transformation, and we are going to follow every single step.
So, our very first stop is this massive, vast place that's designed to hold everything. And I mean everything, without any judgment. This is the starting point for all data, no matter what shape or size it comes in.
This is the data lake. And honestly, the reservoir analogy is perfect. Because just like a real reservoir, its only job is to collect everything. Every stream, every drop of rain, without filtering it first. Structured, unstructured, doesn't matter. It all just flows right in. Now, the key concept here, the thing you really got to get, is schema on read. It's basically a store now, ask questions later approach. Imagine just throwing all your ingredients, flour, eggs, spices, vegetables, whatever, into a giant pantry. You don't decide what you're going to make until you're ready to cook. That kind of flexibility is an absolute dream for data scientists doing experimental work, like training AI models.
Okay, so after that wild, open reservoir, our data needs to go somewhere that's all about order, structure, and reliability for the whole organization. This is where we start to tame the chaos.
And that brings us to the data warehouse. The contrast with the lake here is so important. The warehouse is picky. It's selective. It is not a reservoir. It's a highly organized logistics center. Only data that has been cleaned, processed, and perfectly packaged gets in the door.
And this whole thing operates on the complete opposite principle, schema on write. So, going back to our pantry analogy, this is like having a detailed recipe book before you even go shopping. You define exactly what ingredients you need and how they should be formatted before they're allowed in. This kind of rigidity is perfect for generating those reliable, consistent business reports everyone depends on.
So the big question is, which one do you need? Well, it really just depends on the job. If you're exploring the unknown, kind of like a scientist in a lab, you're going to start with the data lake. But if you're tracking known metrics, like a CEO looking at a quarterly report, you are going to rely on the data warehouse. Different tools for different jobs.
But wait a minute, how does all that raw, messy data from the lake get cleaned up and organized enough to even be allowed into the pristine warehouse? Well, that requires a powerful three-step industrial process. This process is called ETL. It stands for Extract, Transform, and Load. You can think of it as the factory that sits right between the reservoir and the warehouse. It extracts the raw materials, transforms them into finished products, and then it loads them onto the shelves, ready to go. Now, traditionally, this process was always extract, then transform, then load. But modern cloud technology has kind of flipped the script. We now often see ELT, extract, load, and then transform. So why the change? Well, modern data warehouses are so incredibly powerful, it's often faster and cheaper to just load all the raw data in first and use the warehouse's own immense power to transform it right there. It's a pretty fundamental shift in strategy.
So, we've got our organized warehouse, but it is massive. What if a single team, like marketing, just needs a small, specific slice of that data for their daily work? That brings us to our final destination, a place that's built for speed and focus.
This leads us to the Data Mart, and this analogy just hits the nail on the head. If the data warehouse is that giant superstore that has everything, a Data Mart is the specialized corner shop. It doesn't have everything, but it has exactly what its specific customers, the marketing team or the sales team, need, and it's right there at their fingertips.
The core benefit of a data mart is just one word: speed. By pre-summarizing and curating only the most relevant data for a specific department, it cuts out all the noise. This lets teams run their analyses and get answers in seconds, not hours, which, as you can imagine, dramatically accelerates their decision-making.
All right, we've seen all the individual pieces. Now let's zoom out and put them all together. It's time to see the entire journey, from start to finish, on a single, comprehensive map.
And here it is, the complete map. We start with the raw chaos from our source systems, we collect all of it in the data lake, we refine it with the ETL process, we organize it for everybody in the company to use in the warehouse, we specialize it for team-level speed in the Data Mart, and finally, we turn it into something we can actually see and understand through visualization. Every single step has a distinct and absolutely critical purpose.
This table is kind of like the ultimate cheat sheet. It puts everything together. But I want you to focus on two rows in particular, users and speed. Notice that direct relationship. The raw, kind of slow lake is for the technical data scientists. The refined, faster warehouse is for data analysts. And the specialized, super fast mart is for everyday business users. The entire journey is really about refining data to make it faster and more accessible for different people.
So, if you take away just one single image from this explainer, let it be this one. It's a logical progression. You start with broad storage in the lake, move to industrial refinement via ETL, then to enterprise integration in the warehouse, and finally to specialized high-speed delivery in the mart. That right there is the modern data journey.
You know, understanding this framework isn't just academic. It's the key to knowing where to look and what tools to use to find answers in a world that is just overflowing with data. So the real question is, where on this map do your most important answers lie?